It's September 30th, 2024, and this is the Watson Weekly, your essential e-commerce digest. Today on our show, John Donahoe steps down from Nike. Amazon introduces new supply chain service. What's going on with the retail job market? The fight over de minimis and how this will end. And finally, the Investor Minute, which contains 5 items this week from the world of venture capital, acquisitions, and IPOs. But first, in our shopping cart full of news, John Donahoe steps down from Nike. And it seems to me that John Donahoe didn't step down willingly. He was pushed, and he'll actually make more money than his successor. I guess if that's true, there's something to these Bain negotiation skills after all. You know there's something wrong with CEO salary when the CEO who is pushed to resign in defeat makes more than the incoming CEO hired to turn around the business. The incoming new CEO, Hill, will make $27 million. Donahoe's comp package was valued at $29 million. Of course, it was originally valued at $32 million, but, that pesky stock price, which Donahoe had a part in declining. The board of Nike made one cardinal mistake, hiring Donahoe at all. And who can forget this famous quote? Quote, "I remember well when John Donahoe turned around eBay." Actually, no one ever said this. Donahoe instead made several of his own mistakes with Nike, not restarting Nike's diminishing innovation pipeline, wiping out entire channels of wholesale business without allowing time for their replacements. There's more, of course, but these are the cardinal sins in my mind. And of course, you've heard this quote before, right? Quote, "Our customers want to shop in fewer places." Oh, you haven't? It seems like a simple principle that it was forgotten when Nike removed all of its product from its wholesale retail partners. Nike is innovation plus marketing. Technology is an enabler, and it was never the entire story. But by the way, John Donahoe isn't like some technical wizard anyway. And I'm suspecting that Nike started to get activist investors sniffing around with a gold-plated shovel to put some dirt on top of JD. The fact that Nike stock popped 8% after hours tells you all you need to know. And Nike's board was in no mood to be in a poor-performing economy with a badly performing CEO and no innovation pipeline and flat marketing not resonating with consumer. The new CEO, Hill, is at least an insider and has that culture thing to restart the innovation pipeline and is essentially a Nike lifer, starting as an associate sales rep in 1998. A powerful innovation pipeline and cooler marketing in a down economy is much better than neither in a down economy. So here's hoping to Mr. Hill and his reboot of Nike the right way this time. Our second story. Amazon introduces new end-to-end supply chain service. This service should be a small brand's dream, and they copied a page from AWS S3 service to do it. From a warehouse anywhere, have Amazon pick up your items. Amazon will calculate and distribute your inventory to the right places, and then replenish and fulfill across any channel. Sounds like a dream, right? Some logistics services like ShipBob have this capability, but not quite at Amazon scale. Amazon has started its supply chain journey with FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon, to help third-party sellers get the Prime badge. Amazon then built a global logistics service, AGL, to help sellers manage the flow of product, later added MCF, or multi-channel fulfillment, to fulfill to any channel in white boxes without the Prime logo. And AWD, or Amazon Warehousing and Distribution, is, in Amazon AWS parlance, the, quote, glacier long-term storage. And multi-channel distribution, or MCD, is there for bulk shipment on Amazon. Amazon's new announcement is like AWS intelligent tiering brought to supply chain. And if you're not familiar for that, it's actually auto-calculation where inventory needs to be every minute of every day and precisely delivering it to your customers every time. Shopify acquired Deliverr and tried to deliver on a similar vision to this a few years back. Of course, Shopify did not have the expertise, capital, or patience to make it happen and went back to the e-commerce software knitting. Later, even partnering with Amazon for logistics while still hedging its bet on a post-Dave Clark Flexport. So, if you're in the logistics business like a 3PL or 4PL, where's your next bet now that Amazon is so far in your space? A few options are customization. Amazon as a global provider will have difficulty adding all the customizations that high-touch brands need to survive. Multiple specialized inserts, advertising programs, bundling and kitting, white glove installation all come to mind. Verticalization is another option. In other words, niche down by industry. If you're in beauty, great, specialize there. UPS, for instance, is heavily betting on healthcare. Customer service is another point that you should not underestimate. Many brands just want to be able to get someone on their phone and hold their hand. Good luck with that from Amazon. Here's a webpage. Your inventory just got held? So sorry. It could be a little while to figure out why. What's the number to your account rep? Meet Mr. Chatbot. Logistics is ultimately a cost optimization exercise. For small to mid-sized brands, especially ones that work on Amazon, even for many Shopify brands, this could be a dream. For FBA replenishment, it's probably a good idea as well, and I'm sure Amazon will use its don't call it a monopoly power to incent sellers to use more aspects of its supply chain. Similar to the way that if you use Amazon FBA, Amazon will not penalize you for shipping defects. Amazon and B2B bulk moves, however, into retail could be a challenge. The large retailers that matter, Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and others, already have preferred partners for store distribution. And for damn sure, Amazon is not going to be on that preferred list. So, in the meantime, Amazon is still coming for all the boxes. And with cost optimization happening everywhere, why not becomes an increasingly difficult question to answer. Our third story. What's going on with the retail job market? Seems to me like with layoffs, not hiring, AI, and the cavalry is not coming for those looking for work. Of course, it started with Elon Musk, and then the disease spread to Meta, Shopify, and others. Amazon in the last few weeks recently announced its own ratio of managers to contributors. This was disguised as a return to work program and really disguised as layoffs, as we talked about in another week. The sneaky and heartwarming notion that there is some magic equation to a business or organizational structure, combine this with the idea of the previous howling out of middle management and a tendency to outsource anything that can be outsourced, you have two major trends overlapping in Western economies. How few employees do I need, and how much of this can I outsource? Oh, did I not mention AI yet? The irony is that corporations didn't need yet another excuse to reduce headcount, but one is staring them right in the face. This is hitting agencies and outsourcing firms too, in some ways for the first time. But perhaps interest rates will save us. Won't that create new investment? Well, yeah, some, but even new investment is going where? More AI. Couldn't AI do this is a seminal question that every venture capitalist is asking across every business model right now, similar to the dot-com revolution 20-something years ago. Of course, they were asking it very clumsily at first and then in a more skilled way as they get more experience. If ChatGPT is to AI what iPhone was to mobile, it's not clear to me yet that we have what Uber was to mobile yet. In other words, something native we could not imagine before the new technology. This is what's being chased by venture capitalists now. But back to jobs. VCs are not here to save us, and you should not expect interest rates to. Reskilling and reimagination are needed. I've never seen so many senior people on the street as I have now. I don't have a prescription, but waiting it out will not make it better. Healthcare and other growth-oriented, regulated industries seem more immune as a rule, but for how long? All this does remain clear. If you have 10 plus years to retirement, your world just got rocked by this economy, and the sooner you convince yourself you can reinvent yourself with new skills, the better. Innovation and reinvention in this kind of economy is the only safety. And our last story, the fight over de minimis and how this will end. Even if the US ends up regulating de minimis, many are hoping that Chinese-founded marketplaces like Temu and Shein will lose their relevance in the West. Forgetting, of course, that Amazon went on a similar journey too. It's not like these firms are only dependent on the small de minimis margin difference. There are actually a few different advantages. The ability to decide what to sell and manufacture to begin with based on consumer data. The ability to manufacture at scale in small batches. And the ability to air freight directly from Asia to consumers' doorsteps, injecting as deep as possible into the United States. If you set aside compliance issues for the moment because any gaps there must be handled, the biggest savings is not duties, it's actually inventory. As a result, adjustments can and will be made by Shein and Temu. One of the big cures is local logistics, and there is no shortage of firms or companies that would want to help any business that can generate demand regardless of where they're headquartered. However, it will also take a lot of duties charges to deplete a $39 billion growing Temu cash pile, don't you think? The idea here is simple: realism. This is not to cheer the business model or anything else, but if you engage in fanciful thinking regarding outcomes, you will make worse decisions as business owners. Recall another powerful firm in Washington famously skirted rules for years fighting tax and other jurisdiction laws: Amazon. I remember for years, Amazon employees, for one instance, could not visit certain places even for fear of generating nexus for tax purposes. Many predicted doom for Amazon, saying there's no way consumers would keep choosing them without the tax benefit. Their profitability would plummet, they would go out of business if only Amazon were forced to pay its fair share. How did that prediction turn out? In short, major multinational corporations are often able to run rings around regulators. Not that they can't force compliance on a narrow issue, it's just that the effects of that compliance aren't destruction. There can be debates about what regulators can do with and without Congress, what the president can do, but ultimately true enforcement will require funding from Congress. How could it be otherwise? The future is going to look more like modification of behavior and coexistence with Shein, Temu, and similar models, and not elimination. It's that time, friends, for our Investor Minute. We have 5 items on the menu today. First, Gnosis Freight announces strategic growth investment from Vista Equity Partners. Gnosis Freight, a supply chain visibility and execution software platform for ocean freight, has raised an undisclosed growth investment from Vista Equity Partners. The funding will be invested to further develop its proprietary container lifecycle management platform. Flexport, anyone? Second, Blueprint X strengthens commerce capabilities with ITG Commerce acquisition. British-based global digital transformation consultancy Blueprint X has acquired ITG Commerce to add Adobe services and commerce capabilities to its services offered. When was the last time you heard of an agency being acquired for Adobe and Salesforce solutions? Really? Third, Pick Commerce AI Robotics raises $3.4 million. Pick Commerce AI Robotics has raised $3.4 million in funding that will be used for the development, production, and marketing of its innovative Pick-O-Bot piece-picking robot. Is the future of pick and pack inside warehouses by automated robots? Sure feels like it. Fourth, Rebel Stork returns and re-commerce marketplace for baby gear raises $18 million in Series A funding. Rebel Stork, an overstock and open box baby gear marketplace, has raised $18 million in Series A funding that will be used to invest in its proprietary returns and re-commerce technology. This sounds like a good idea as long as they aren't selling used car seats on the website. I'm also familiar with companies like Goodbye Gear as well. And finally, 2Boxes secures $5.3 million in funding. 2Boxes, a returns processing platform, raised $5.3 million in funding that will be used to grow its engineering and go-to-market teams and enter new geographies. Congrats to Kyle Burton, the CEO of 2Boxes and friend of the program, on this financing. And today's word of the week of September 30th is OpenAI. If you haven't heard the news, OpenAI is switching its governance model from a nonprofit organization to a for-profit corporation. Recall, this is the organization originally created with the help of Elon Musk to shepherd the future of AI to ensure it doesn't get out of hand. As part of this process, Sam Altman has a share now in the company. And by the way, a bunch of longtime executives, some of which had a hand in Sam Altman's previous ouster, are now exiting. Look, I'm all for people getting a share in their creation, but when the whole process has been preceded by this holier-than-thou structure, where when it fell apart, Sam immediately went running to Microsoft, it's clear what's really going on here. I like to believe that OpenAI is committed to the fact that we will not see a Skynet situation happening and the Terminator come knocking on our doorsteps. I'd also like to believe that the new corporate structure will ensure that the appropriate guardrails will be placed on AI going forward. I'd like to believe that I can trust Sam Altman more than is apparent through this whole charade. Longtime listeners might know I grew up in Louisiana, and we had a saying there, which goes something like, if you believe you can trust OpenAI, I have some swampland in Nebraska to sell you. Did you know that RMW Commerce has a brand new podcast? Check out the Watson Weekend for an unfiltered and lively e-commerce chat each week with me, Rick Watson, my co-host Jess Lasetsky, and an array of interesting guests and topics, all focused on e-commerce. You can find the Watson Weekend by searching for it on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. That's all for this week. Till next time, Watsonians. Hi, I'm Rick Watson, CEO and founder of RMW Commerce Consulting and host of the Watson Weekly Podcast, your essential e-commerce digest. Our production partner for the series is Citizen Racecar. The show is produced by Jose Baez, production manager Gabrielle Montequin. To hear new episodes of the show every Monday morning, subscribe now at rmwcommerce.com/Watson Weekly and wherever you get your podcasts.